Kia ora, good evening. Fonterra has set its guaranteed milk price at $7 per kilogram of milk solids for dairy farmers who opt into a pilot program in the 2013-14 season. Earlier this year, the cooperative announced the pilot program, which allows farmers to lock in a milk price announced at the beginning of the season for up to 75% of their milk supply. Fonterra says it's looking for around 200 farms to take part. Director of Commodity Risk and Trading, Bruce Turner, says the pilot was developed to give farmers greater certainty to plan for the farming year, knowing how much they'll receive for a portion of their milk supply. Around 70% of children met national standards in 2012, with pass rates having risen from the previous year. Releasing national standards data today, Education Minister Hekia Parata says it shows an increase in years 1 to 8 achievement, particularly for Pacifica children. 77.4% of pupils met standards for reading in 2012, 73.6% met maths standards, and the pass rate for writing was 70%. The data has been criticised by Teachers Union NZEI, which says it's unreliable and invalid in terms of judging teacher or school effectiveness. Employment is forecast to grow around 130,000 jobs over the next 3 years, according to the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment. The Ministry's report, Short-Term Employment Prospects 2013-16, predicts overall employment demand will rise in response to stronger economic growth, with Auckland and Canterbury accounting for almost half of the increase. Around 50% of employment growth is expected to be in highly skilled jobs, such as managers and professionals, while lower skilled workers are expected to account for around 35% of the forecast growth in areas including accommodation and construction. The unemployment rate is expected to trend down slowly and drop below 5% in the March 2016 quarter. Air pollution in Invercargill has 3 times surpassed the allowable limit this winter, with national standards allowing for only 1 breach a year. Environment Southland is taking a new approach to address the issue, distributing information to get people thinking about the impact their fire is having.
Well, we're just trying to get some more awareness out. We brought out a couple of months ago a summary document with some issues and options that people in Invercargill and Gore got to comment on. And so now it's a matter of, through that there was a request for more information. So that's what we're trying to provide to the community, some information on small things that they can do can make a real difference.
So what are some of the things that people are actually doing wrong?
It's not necessarily, I don't think, what they're doing wrong. It's more the fact that they're probably just not aware that it's having an impact. There's really small steps that you can take that can make a big difference, and it can be as simple as going out and checking your chimney when you're actually burning wood in your wood burner to see sort of what impact it's having, and changes you can make to burn better, burn smarter.
So in terms of air quality, how much of an improvement do you think we could see as a result of people taking up some of this information?
Well, it's a combination of factors. We don't really just want to be full regulatory, because that won't necessarily solve the problem either. It's about the small steps that the community can take, like going out and checking your chimney and just assessing how much smoke's coming out of it, what you can do then to solve that problem and reduce the particular matter or the smoke that's going into the air which is affecting people's health.
Why do you think we do have such poor air quality in Invercargill?
A combination of factors again. It's we're bottom of the South Island, it's colder. I guess people sometimes think that the wind in Invercargill blows it away, but actually during the winter it's quite still. And it's important that we sort of assess all those factors and then make the necessary changes so that we can reduce the impact that it's having on people's health.
So in terms of this information campaign, can you tell me what exactly Environment Southland is doing around this?
Well, that's the thing. We've produced, this is sort of like step 1, I guess. We want to get a whole load of information out into the public about measures they can take, and this is just a starting step. So we want to hopefully just change people's behaviours a wee bit and just get them to realise that they can make a difference by carrying out these small changes.
The outbreak of Salmonella hindmarsh, which killed hundreds of sheep in the region recently, appears to have run its course. The infection affected dozens of farms in Southland and is thought to be one of the worst outbreaks to be seen in the region for a decade. Otautau vet Giles Gill says the infection appears to have run its cycle, with no new reports made in the past week. Demand for the vaccine increased over the past month, which may have helped control the outbreak. Animals, people, vehicles and gumboots can all spread infection, and farmers are being advised to keep up good hygiene practices. Stay with us after the break, how farmers are expected to fare in coming months following dry conditions in the south. Welcome back. Southland farmers will need to closely monitor their feed supplies and animal health if they're to beat the challenges of this winter and spring. That's according to the Southland Rural Support Trust Stakeholders Group, which met yesterday to discuss the ongoing effects and challenges following the dry period earlier this year. The group says while there has been some growth in May, feed stocks are still down on normal years, but farmers can follow business as usual paths if they're diligent with feed levels, animal health and keep in contact with feed providers. Stock farmers are being urged to consider their spring feed budgets now. In a bid to bring down the road toll and improve road safety, a new initiative was introduced at Southland District Council around a year ago. After serious or fatal crashes in the region, council staff work with police to look at crash scenes and see if improvements can be made. That work is continuing, but council is also collaborating with NZTA and other local authorities and is looking at new issues as well. I spoke to Strategic Transport Manager Joe Burke.
I think primarily actually having one of the safest networks in the country has been the real focus, and we've actually been focused on that being a real key integral part to Southland.
So one of the things that you have been doing is you've been going out to crash scenes, yes, looking at what could be done to improve safety there. Can you tell me what some of the changes you've done actually are?
Okay, so we'll look at actually how the signage is, for example, if it's adequate enough for the normal driver to actually be alerted in time to slow down or be alerted to actually what the speed requirements are. And probably the biggest problem that we've had is people just not driving to the conditions, and because they radically change so quickly here in Southland. So that's been probably the biggest problem to deal with. I mean, there's really not much we can do with signage, except down in the maybe the Catlins area that we've actually put up. We're actually in the act of putting up signs there that actually said these are high crash zones, so high frequency of crashes, just to let the tourists know, because actually there's a great deal of tourist issues there that just don't know how to drive in our roads.
So another challenge for you is looking at intersections as well.
So we're looking at what goes on with both rural and urban. We don't really have many urban. So we're reviewing some data right now with NZTA, trying to understand that better, what's going on. And we've actually had the notorious ranking of being the highest ratest in the country for urban. And we don't quite know what that really means, but we're chasing that out and trying to get the detail behind it. So far as we know, it's an anomaly that we can't really explain.
Do you have sort of a goal in terms of the amount that you want to see the crash rate drop by in the region?
It's actually pretty low. So I mean, when we're talking quantities of 1 or 2 a year, it's really hard to have that, or especially when you have 1 or 2. So it's really hard to detect, and especially when you have an anomaly, something that comes out of the blue with one off or something. It's really hard to be that discriminative and actually say, well, it actually is the root cause is this or that. So it's basically we just have to keep looking at everything.
Young Southland entrepreneurs were putting their best pitches forward today. More than 130 young Southlanders pitched their business plans to a panel of judges in the hope of securing some capital investment and awards. The competition is part of the Southland Young Enterprise scheme, in which students set up and run their own business for a year. The project sees Year 12 and 13 students learn about business planning, leadership, marketing, finance and production. Among ideas pitched, t-shirts, organic lip balm and iPod repair kits. A mid-year awards ceremony is being held tonight. Hundreds of Southland students took to the field today, competing in the region's second annual Matariki Kia Rahi tournament. 26 teams and more than 300 young people from secondary and intermediate schools around the province were competing in the tournament in Invercargill. Teams included students from Wakatipu High School, Menzies College and Gore High School. The sport is now so popular that many schools are incorporating it into their physical education curriculum. Sports Southland Kaiwhakahaere Kia Rahi, Chantal Dixon says it's exciting to see the way the sport has grown.
It's just one of those sports where it was around years ago and now it's just going through the revival stage, and it's awesome to see a community like this take on board such a great game, and it allows any ability to be able to play the game at the end of the day as well. Any age, any ability, perfect sport pretty much.
So 18 months ago it was a little known sport, people hadn't really heard of it. What has been behind the growth of it?
Just the excitement of something new, and once again the fact that anybody can play. Like, it combines multiple sports all into one, so any code can come along and join into the game, and it can be adapted to suit group size anywhere, any place pretty much.
Have you been surprised at the interest among secondary schools?
Yes and no. It's kind of been a yes because I was unsure of the territory, what I was getting into kind of thing, because especially with rugby and netball being so popular. But no, in the fact that why shouldn't they take something like this on board at the end of the day?
Now, many schools have actually taken this up to be part of their curriculum. What's been behind that, do you think?
It's a sport where any group can play and they can actually obtain NCA credits through it. So it's a win-win at the end of the day for the school, something new and fresh, plus the kids get something out of it at the end of the day. It's a bonus pretty much as well.
Now, this is the second time we've had this tournament. Is this going to be an annual event?
Yes, we are aiming for this to be an annual event, especially for playing off of places in the region and also to push through to get to nationals as well.
So will we be sending teams to nationals from this?
Fingers crossed in the years to come. We've got a wee way to go to get to that level, but there's no reason why we shouldn't be sending teams away to nationals.
And that's it from news. Coming up in sport, Southern Steel coach Janine Southby and Vice Captain Wendy Frew. From the news team, good night.